I started UniLad when I was at university and I grew it on my own to millions of followers. It was going very well. I was sort of dealing with so much: advertising, inquiries, content moderation, website creation, all of these things. I was getting very overwhelmed and I needed help to take it to the next level. So I put out this post asking for help, and I met these two men in Brighton. They came down to ask me if they could fill this gap that I needed. They could help me. And I remember that day thinking, or my intuition was screaming at me, telling me, like, these two men are not on your side. These two men do not have your best interests at heart. And I remember sat there as I was presented this bit of paper to sign, and I was so scared of confrontation, didn't know how to say no, and I signed it. And then a week later, I had been kicked out of the business. And I just remembered not knowing how to confront the situation, not knowing how to deal with the situation. And I eventually showed the bit of paper I signed to a friend, and he said, like, you need to go see a lawyer. I did, and the solicitor looked at everything and said, they're not allowed to have done what they've just done. But if you fight this, it's probably going to be a lengthy process. It's going to cost a lot of money, and it's probably going to go to trial. And you're going to have to go on the witness box and give evidence. And my mind flashed back to 6-year-old me. I had my first panic attack in the classroom when the teacher put me on the spot and said, Alex, do you know the answer to this question? And all of the kids looked at me. And under that pressure, my heart rate went, and I stood up, ran out of the classroom, and I found someone in the corridor. And I remember saying, please call an ambulance, I'm having a heart attack. And the paramedic calmed me down and reassured me that at 6 years old, I was having my first anxiety attack. So when my solicitor said, you're going to have to go on the witness box in front of all of these people, their legal team, my legal team, the judge, my family, the press were going to be there. I got in the car, I ran out of my solicitor's office and went to buy a bottle of vodka. And I can only tell you what the nurse told me when I woke up in the hospital the following morning, which was that 2 members of the public had found me in an alleyway, clutching this bottle, tried to stagger away, tripped up, hit my head on the wall. They called an ambulance. And I remember, as the nurse was telling me this feeling of shame and anxiety came over me. And in that moment, I thought the only thing I needed was more alcohol to cure this anxiety and shame. I jumped out of the hospital bed, ran out of the ward. Security had been called. It's all a bit of a blur, but before I knew it, I was in the back of a police car outside of the hospital, and my parents had been called. And I remember seeing my mum and dad just looking at me through the glass of the police car with this look of fear and desperation in their eyes. That's what took me to AA. That's when I started hearing those 4 letters, ADHD, which I didn't really take in, but that's when I first heard them. Fast forward 2 months, the trial came about in London in the High Courts, and I got through it. The judge was very accommodating. He let me take breaks. He let me walk off these anxiety attacks around the courthouse, throwing up in the toilet. And I was cross-examined for 7 days. Even the judge said it was excessive. But I got through it. Fast forward 2 months, my phone went, and it was my solicitor, and he said, Alex, are you on your own? And he said, and I said, yes. And he said, you've won everything. You've won the company back.